Hello everyone, welcome to this week's Astrology News Report, an alternate view of world events as seen through the lens of Vedic astrology, presented by yours truly, Ron Berger. Today is February 8th, 2015. So, let's take a look at the week that was, and how the planets' positions in the zodiac matched up with the past week's events. Mercury is the planet of the media, and therefore messaging. The so-called Islamic State sent quite a harsh message to the Arab world last week, with the release of a video showing the execution, by burning alive, of Moaz al-Qasasbeh, the Jordanian pilot that ISIS had been holding. Mercury was retrograde, and so was the video. Evidently, the terrorist organization had killed the pilot a month ago, and had withheld the video, waiting for a moment when there would be maximum effect. The reaction from the Muslim world, not just from Jordan, seems to indicate that the publication of this execution video could be a game-changer in the fight against ISIS. Many who were previously wanting to stay out of the fight now are wanting in. The astrology of Uranus and Ketu is asserting itself once again. Also, note that the moon was full last Tuesday, and in conjunction with Jupiter, the planet of beliefs and judgment, which has been retrograde, in other words, backwards, therefore rethinking previously held beliefs. Mercury Retrograde delivered more results shortly thereafter. In response to the video showing their pilot's execution, Jordan promptly launched airstrikes against ISIS. Mercury is the planet of the media, and when it is retrograde, it can be difficult to separate fact from fiction. Additionally, the exact third house aspect of Saturn onto Mercury causes distortion. ISIS claimed that a U.S. hostage, Kayla Jean Mueller of Prescott, Arizona, died as a result of one of those Jordanian airstrikes last Friday. But the government of Jordan dismissed the statement as criminal propaganda, and the U.S. said it had not seen any evidence to corroborate the report. One of the significations of Saturn is fear. One of the significations of the 12th house is psychology. In a nation's chart, the 12th house is the house of hidden things and isolation, and therefore epidemics. In the USA chart, Saturn is transiting through the 12th house, thus fear of epidemics. Now add to this the very real situation of a measles outbreak in the USA. Ketu is the significator of the unseen world and therefore indicates viruses. The 4th house of a nation's chart stands for, amongst other things, the common people. Taking a look at the 4th house of the USA chart, we see Ketu transiting there, along with Uranus, the planet that signifies unexpected events. And now, to make things even more interesting, add in the fact that Mercury, the planet of rational thinking, is presently retrograde, indicating irrational thinking, and Jupiter, the planet of wisdom, also presently retrograde, indicating something lacking in the wisdom department. And oh yes, these two retrograde planets happen to be opposite each other. The debate over vaccination is becoming more hysterical with every new measles case recorded. Mercury is the planet of the media, including the internet. Mercury retrograde periods are good times for returning to and finishing up old business. After years of discussion about net neutrality, the chairman of the FCC dropped a bombshell last week, which becomes another game changer. The proposal is that the internet service should be reclassified from an unregulated service to a utility. That is, putting internet access on the same level as municipal water, electricity, phone service, and so forth. with the attendant federal regulation for fairness, equal access, essentially making net neutrality a fait accompli. And in the final week of Mercury Retrograde, the planet of data and information gets hit with the exact aspect of Saturn, the planet of suffering. And we get this. The nation's second largest health insurance company said on Wednesday that as many as 80 million customers have had their account information stolen. Anthem Incorporated posted a statement on its website explaining the data breach, including that hackers gained access to customer information including names, birthdays, medical IDs, social security numbers, street addresses, email addresses, and employment information such as income data. Ooh. President Obama got hit by the Mercury retrograde signification of having your words misinterpreted at the National Prayer Breakfast last Thursday. President Obama told fellow Christians that, just as Islam has been abused by terrorists in recent years, their religion had been abused and misappropriated in the past in our own home country. Slavery and Jim Crow all too often was justified in the name of Christ, Mr. Obama said. Critics, including the usual suspects, in other words, Fox News, conservative Republicans, and so on, were outraged. The press should know that putting terrorists, slavery, and Christians together in one paragraph is a no-no, even if you are talking about historical facts. By the way, since President Obama is Capricorn rising, Mercury retrograde is happening in his first house. And finally, Mercury retrograde took down one of its own last week. As the planet of information and reports, Mercury represents facts, the media, and therefore journalists. The recent embarrassing revelations of NBC News' Brian Williams' past fabrications of the facts, especially as they pertain to himself, have led to him leaving the nightly news for an as yet undetermined length of time. Note, too, that Saturn, the planet of doubt, has been throwing an aspect onto retrograde Mercury. Okay, that'll do it for this week's Review of the Week. You can keep up with daily astrological developments and contribute your own thoughts by following me on Twitter at Astro News Report.